Anyone who likes to travel and anyone who's traveled as extensively as we have probably has a favorite hotel or place they stayed in.
Yeah, like when we travel, we've stayed in everything from a hotel to motels to cruise ships, Airbnbs, friends' places, like you name it, we've done it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in these little old antique hotels that have been around since the dawn of time. I've even stayed in a castle before. But until recently, I wouldn't say I had a favorite, but now we definitely do. And there's a lot of reasons for it.
So Cope and I have always kind of been really intrigued with these new miniaturized homes, these container homes that have been turned into little mini homes, and we're like, that's a pretty genius idea. But we've never experienced anything like this before. And this was the perfect opportunity for us to experience it.
Yeah, there's like reality shows about these miniature homes. We've seen pictures in magazines and such, and it looks kind of cool, but really, how small is too small, and could we actually live in something like that? Because honestly, we don't live in a big place now. We don't need that much space. For us, I think land is more important than anything else. So if we had a few acres and a tiny home that was comfortable enough to live in, I think that'd be perfect. And we got to experience this for the first time in a hotel.
Which was so cool.
Yeah.
Because they actually put this hotel like right in the center of every major attraction. And it just makes you really think like, okay, if you can do this in the center of everything, like you can put a mini home pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how efficient a mini home can be. So let's get into it. I've seen these things online, I don't know how many times, in videos, in pictures. And I'm like, why do they call them super trees? But when you're up close, you understand why. Wow. So I'm sitting in what's probably the most unique hotel experience I've ever had. This is the bamboo pod in the garden pods on Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. It's actually made from container units. There are 4 pods in total. Each pod is a double stacked container unit. And in this one, you've got a king size bed. You've also got this Murphy bed. That's a queen size. Downstairs, you've got another sofa bed available to you, so quite easily you could sleep 6 people here, no problem, provided it's, 2 per bed. But what really sets this apart is the location, right? We are located in Gardens by the Bay. It's the most premier spot in all of Singapore. It's about a 12-minute walk to Marina Bay Sands. 12-minute walk to the Flower Dome, right? Maybe a 14-minute walk to the OCBC Skyway or the Super Tree Grove. Quite literally, every major attraction is a walking distance away. But the real beauty of it all is that when you look out your window, you're going to see the whole Gardens by the Bay. It's one of the most incredible park experiences I've ever walked through. I'll show you a number of pictures we took along the way. But this really puts you dead center of all the action, and more importantly, they're really proving a point here in that you don't have to waste energy or waste human resources even to provide a premier hotel experience. It's 2 stories. In this story, we've got the 2 beds, we've got the bathroom, we've got toilet, shower. Downstairs, you have a full kitchen, living room, and like I said, the bed's a sofa bed. You also have access to the backyard through sliding doors down there, and it's got a deck, access to a barbecue. You've got the full bamboo grove behind you. Each one has its own unique sort of backyard experience, but how do you go wrong here? how do you go wrong? You're really left on your own recognizance. You don't have a concierge to deal with. You just deal with someone through WhatsApp. They come, you show up, they give you the keys, they let you in. They'll store your luggage for you if necessary, if you're here a little bit earlier like we were. But really, you're a walk to absolutely everything. Check out Gardens by the Bay, pod at Gardens by the Bay on Google. Take a look at it. It's fantastic. I'm loving my experience here.
So the first cool thing that we both really loved was the fact that everything was solar powered. So it's like self-sufficient, basically.
Yeah, 90% of what's required to run this pod at the Gardens by the Bay is from their solar panels. So there's only 10% of the energy is being drawn from the city's power grid. So they're extremely self-sufficient. Another thing that's kind of cool about it is that unlike a traditional hotel, sure, you lose out on the concierge and, you know, the room service and that sort of thing.
For us, like we don't really use that, to be honest with you, for the most part. Like, yes, we'll take advantage of the breakfast in the morning, but really, guys, it's continental, so like I don't really care.
But the way this place was designed and the fact that we had Grab set up on our phones, and we'll talk about using Grab and Uber and things like that while vacationing in another video. But because we had that, it's like we had breakfast at the garden pod by just ordering it through Grab, and quite literally the drop-off point is right outside the main entrance of the place. So it was nothing to get it and have that sort of eat-at-home experience. And I guess the real question going into this for us was, could we live in a place like this?
100%. 100%. So the cool thing was they had two containers, and one was below and one was above, which you saw in the video. Yeah. But the one downstairs was all windowed on the outside, so you didn't really feel claustrophobic. You didn't feel like it was too tight. And then we had our own little backyard. We didn't really take advantage of because when we were there it rained, but it was like a huge patio with you know, we were bambooed in. It was beautiful.
We're in Gardens by the Bay, so like we had mentioned, a tiny home with a fair amount of property would be the perfect situation for us. And that's what this quite literally was, right? It's a tiny home with this massive manicured garden sensation all around you. So you step out of your home and in your backyard, you're practically in paradise. And that's the kind of feel we liked. But it actually surprised us how much space you really have in these small, tiny container units.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like for us, the way they had it set up, like it was more for like a hotel, right? Now, we always talked about if we were going to build our own, like we'd want maybe two containers side by side, so they're a little bit wider. Okay, go ahead. But for what we were using it for, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfectly designed.
Yeah, I mean, there's three of us that stayed there.
I think it slept like what, 8?
Six comfortably.
Right? Like that's amazing for just two containers.
Right? Because it's not exactly cheap. But I mean, if you do have 3 couples, if you're friends traveling together, something like that makes financial sense as well, right?
Yeah.
It was a bit expensive for us, but like I said, we
really wanted to experience it.
And I'm so glad we did because it was fantastic. But there were a couple of things that stood out to me. So first of all, the efficiency was number one.
Yes.
Secondly, it's surprisingly spacious given it's a tiny home.
Yeah.
Right? Third, the water pressure was excellent. We had no issue whatsoever with the operation of the utilities and such inside the unit. So everything worked smoothly, right? Which was nice.
Yeah.
You know, and this isn't part of the actual unit itself, but the fact that the 4-pod unit, double stacked, also had a central elevator you could use outside the units.
Which was good because we had his mom with us, and she's, you know, has some mobility issues, so she was able to utilize that, which was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, she used the stairs if she absolutely had to, but having the elevator there so you can easily get up and down. You had entrances on both the bottom level and the top level, so you could just get up and down using the elevator like that.
Yeah.
So the way it was all set up,
it was so well put together.
Yeah.
It was so well thought out. You don't really hear your neighbors. We didn't.
No.
Right? Like there was parties going on in another pod beside
there
us.
was a whole
and
birthday party
we never knew. You would have never known. We only knew because we went outside and we were like, oh, there's balloons.
See the kids running around
Yeah,
and stuff, but you heard nothing.
You heard nothing. It was so amazing.
Right? So even the soundproofing on these things is exceptional.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we're in Singapore, the tropics, right? So I don't think they needed to be like very well insulated. I think that's an advantage they have when you build there. I think building a unit like that or a pod like that, some place like Canada, there's going to be a little more to it. But for the most part, I can see this as a very viable alternative to hotels in lots of places, especially areas that have tourist attractions, but not a large amount of tourism.
Right.
Right? So you're talking like, if we're going to use Canada as an example, areas like Lake of the Woods.
Yes.
Where people come up here for fishing, right? That's a big thing, fishing and hunting. You're talking about an area that gets tourists, but it isn't heavily touristed. Instead of people staying in your occasional rustic cabin or something like that, you could put these in prime locations. All you would need is just one street access, one road access to them. And because they're self-sustaining, I mean, even the local community probably wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
Right? So this sort of pod idea, this structure of a sort of mini home hotel could work in so many places. And if you happen to be going to Singapore, and like we said, if you got a chance to go to Asia, try to work in a stop in Singapore, even if it's just a day or two layover before you go on to your primary destination. You're going to do that.
Do it with some friends and do it at the pods.
Book early because there's only the 4 of them right now, right? So book early, book a pod. Yeah, go with friends if you can, but trust me, even if you don't, it's worth the extra bit you pay because you're right there in the heart of absolutely everything. You get to walk to all the major attractions. You can quite literally picnic in your backyard in the gardens by the bay. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right? For more information like this, for more details about some of the places we visited on our travels, and for some more kind of real experiences and real tips, subscribe to the channel. We look forward to seeing you next time.